And the stream is live. My clock is wrong.
Don't worry about that. Hello and welcome to episode 155 of Tom's Hardware, the podcast for November 21st, 2023. It's Black Friday season. Yes, it's going to be busy, isn't it, for everyone? Deals everywhere. I'm your host, Associate Editor Les Pounder. Nearly said it wrong. Ash is going to join us in a few moments, just busy at the moment. But with us today, we have a doctor. We have a doctor in the house. And Doctor Who, you're thinking? No, it's not that doctor. It's Dr. David Pride.
Greetings, Les. Everybody, nice to be here.
How are you, sir? Or should I say doctor?
No, sir is fine. No, I'm joking. David is fine. I am a fairly recent PhD graduate, and the title doctor is still not settled very well, I must say.
Brilliant. So people don't know who you are. Tell us about yourself, David.
If you want the short potted history, I've been on the Pi scene, and I've known Les for, we were just discussing this before we came on, probably going on 11 years now, from the very early days of the Raspberry Pi, when I first met several other well-known faces, Mike Horn and Tim Richardson, etc., at a Pi Jam at Bletchley Park back in 2012, 2013. I was kind of inspired to get into the Pi from there, and I'd always been a bit of a geek, and I got one of the first Pis, and a lot of people who know me know this story anyway. I got one of the first Pis, and I think there was XBMC, but I didn't know Python, I didn't know Bash, I didn't know any Linux, so kind of didn't do much with it. Went in the drawer, and as I say, about 6 months later, went to the Pi Jam and went, I think I might have missed a trick here. So I started looking at it, and I ended up doing a course in Python at Rice University, which was an online course, and I did that, and then I did the second half of it. And when I completed the second half of it, which I absolutely loved, adored it, I realized by digging around, it was a practical programming course section from their bachelor's of computer science, and I'd not done it. I had a rubbish education experience, shall we say. Didn't leave school with very many O levels at all, so ended up, and then so I spoke to my wife and thought about getting back into education, and both University of Staffordshire and the University of Hertfordshire do degrees in computer science for non-computer science graduates, and they stick a bit on the front of it to do that. And so I rocked up and I said, do you mean for non-computer science graduates or for non-graduates? And they went, we'll get back to you on that. So they tested me. I ended up doing a master's at Hertfordshire, which then led to the PhD at KMI, which is where I am now, a researcher. So some 7-8 years down the road from the start of this adventure, I'm a full-time researcher at the Open University. I work in the STEM faculty, spend my days digging into deep data and having fun.
That is awesome. It's nice to see as well. I don't know how to put this in the most polite fashion, but it's nice to see an older person benefiting educationally from the Raspberry Pi, because normally we think, give a kid a Raspberry Pi and they're going to start learning everything and take over the world. But an older person, be nice, Dave, can get this same piece of technology and change their life with it. Absolutely. It's interesting.
Absolutely right. I mean, and it is not ironic in any way that the place I've ended up is at the Open University, and the ethos of the Open University, it is open. Anyone can go there. And I was very, very fortunate to get a funded PhD position at the OU, which means they pay you while you're doing it. It's not much, but they do pay you a living wage while you do it. So yeah, I was I was very much a late starter. I am what they call, I think the term is, what is it? They say I have a non-traditional route, I believe the academics will tell you. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, the Raspberry Pi opens up worlds for people. There is no doubt about that, and I'm indeed an example of that.
You are indeed, sir. Well, talk about examples. You've got a project you've been working on, and I've been teasing everyone who's been interested in this. I've not told them what the route of the actual project is. Everyone knows it's ping pong balls, LEDs, and Tetris. So can you sort of elaborate and tell us more about this?
That is true. Now, some of you may have seen this a couple of years ago. I was unfortunately ill. I was off work for a couple of weeks and stuck at home and nothing to do. So I ended up building a giant LED matrix of, in fact, I saw strings of programmable LEDs on eBay was what started. And I was like, oh, 500 LEDs. What could I
Yeah.
possibly do with 500 LEDs? Now, if you know, many of you will know a lady called Lorraine from the Pi community who built an amazing 8x8x8 Pi cube, and I thought that's a
Yep.
bit ambitious for me, to be honest. I'm going to start 2D. I'll start flat, and I'm glad I did, because that took quite a while. And for a while, for the last couple of years, it's been our Christmas display in our. We hook it up and we have Christmas banners and lights flashing across it. But to be honest, it's a bit sad that then for the other 50 weeks of the year, it kind of sits in storage. It was at university. It got used in an event last Christmas, and it's been in storage there. So I brought it out to sort of dust it off for this Christmas. And I thought it's a real shame not to do something else with it, because the Matrix itself, the Christmas thing, is by the bite, but the Matrix itself is actually a platform, is literally just a platform. It's just a display, so you can actually use it to display anything you want. And one of the things I thought it was super simple things, you start with obviously things like Snake, and I looked at Snake and I thought, okay, man, no, not really. And I thought, Tetris. And Tetris is actually a really interesting game, and we can get so deep into that if you want to. It's fine, but what I'll do is, the perils of the live demo notwithstanding, let me just boot that up over there. And what I'll actually do is, if I just now switch my camera, you should be able to see what I'm talking about.
That is awesome.
So I present to you Mega Tetris. So it's a 16 by 31, not 32 grid, because 16 by 32 would be 512 LEDs. And I didn't have that many. I had 500. So it's 16 by 31, which is 496. Screen out the top. And it's fairly authentic Tetris, to be honest. It's controlled keyboard or joystick control. I just do this and wake the keyboard up, you can see. And also, like most arcade games, it actually looks slightly more impressive if we actually dim the lights.
Oh, yes.
And it's fairly, to be honest, it's fairly authentic Tetris. It's got the same noises, it's the same graphics. I don't know whether you can just see the bottom of the screen. I think that's where I've got the camera set. So, and I'm now going to do, this is going to be really bad for actually, I'm not going to actually try and play this live. No, see, look, I've cocked it up already. So that was a given. That was a given, really. But as I say, I mean, it's, and one of the things when I first started, I thought, oh yeah, Tetris. And the thing is, you've got 7 shapes of these random colors. So there's the shapes to generate and etc. And I actually sort of thought, and I sat down a few weekends ago and I started looking at this. And when you start to think about it, this isn't even the mathematics behind the game of playing the game successfully, which I'm clearly not doing at the moment. That's another level altogether. Tetris is actually something what's called an NP hard problem. We can talk about that in a bit if you like. I mean, I am failing miserably at trying to do this while trying to talk. I haven't scored a single point as yet, and I genuinely don't think I'm going to right now. And of course, as with Tetris, it's the same rules, and it gets harder and harder. And as you get towards the top, I'm not even getting on the score table. This go, and there we go.
That is awesome.
So there we go, a very, very quick demo, and then it'll sit and fill itself up again. So that is just a very quick demo of Mega Tetris. So it is full authentic Tetris, but it's about 6 foot tall, about 3 feet wide, probably weighs about 30 kilos, and will be going with me to the Cambridge Raspberry Jam this weekend. Let me come back to me. So
wow. That is brilliant. I love Tetris. So I had a Game Boy in the late 1980s, 1990s, and I did play the hell out of Tetris. And in high school, that's what we all played. We all had the link cable to play games against each other. In fact, I'll just quickly reach over. It's actually Mrs. Pounder's, not mine. Mrs. Pounder has a chicken nugget that plays Tetris. This is what Kev and Martin have been hacking to do loads of Pi projects with. But yeah, that plays Tetris as well. So
I suspect that might be an unlicensed copy of Tetris, of which there were many out there.
Yeah, Tetris has been on every single system known to mankind, from really simple 8 megahertz PCs all the way up to stupidly powerful ones.
And if you're not aware, which I wasn't when I started this, of the actual story itself behind Tetris, it was a guy, Alexei Pajitnov, apologies for my pronunciation there, who was actually working at the Russian Academy of Sciences, who came up with it to test one of their machines in 1985. The story goes that there was a guy at one of the software fairs who'd heard of this, he'd seen a copy of it, and there was a few faxes backwards and forwards, but basically the fact was this developer ended up selling it to various companies around the world. It led to some enormous legal battles with Sega and Nintendo and Atari, all claiming rights to this game, and it went on for a decade in the 1980s, and ended up finally, the guy who invented the thing finally got the rights back to it, I think in 1996.
Wow.
I mean, there's even a movie about it. There's a Tetris movie.
Yeah, it was on Apple TV, wasn't it? Yeah.
I've not seen it. It's one I want to watch.
No. I've not paid for Apple TV yet, that's why. Oh, very cool. So there's a secret behind this project, though, that's we've not revealed anywhere just yet. And Dave, do you want to tell us what the secret is behind this entire project?
He's bigged it up now, hasn't he? This is gonna have to sound really impressive, actually. Well, to be honest, it's what I say. One of the things that has exploded onto the scene this year, is certainly with what's going on with OpenAI still this weekend, is these ideas of what's called GPT, or generative pre-trained transformers, which are a flavor of large language model or artificial intelligence. It's not a term I'm particularly fond of, that have kind of exploded onto the scene in the last 12 months now, since OpenAI unleashed ChatGPT onto the world in November 2022. And part of the research I do, I work in the research department at the Open University, is language models and large language models have been around for a long time, but this is one of the first ones that really kind of has really caught the public's imagination. And one of these things that many people who haven't used this or haven't looked at these in anger may well not be aware, they can write poetry, they can write songs, and we won't get into all of the ethics and the legalities of the training data and all of that, and all of those arguments that are going on at the moment as well. But as well as generation of artwork, generation of poetry, of marketing scripts, of text, one of the things that I found, and this is being more and more adopted, very good at, is coding. And so the majority of what you see and what I've just seen for you was physically built by me, but the code itself was actually written by GPT-4.
Wow. So how did you prompt it to write a game of Tetris for an LED matrix? I mean, it's a physical world. Yeah. They
kind of sort of crash together. I mean, my first experiences, I was involved in a research project 5 or 6 years ago now, and it involved harvesting data from the Twitter API, which you can't do anymore without paying, analyzing that data, doing sentiment analysis on it. It's fairly straightforward and simple stuff, certainly these days. Analyzing, doing sentiment analysis on it, recording it all in the database, and then producing lots of nice whizzy graphics and an analysis from it. And a couple of us spent a couple of weeks, 3 weeks writing the code for it, and then it ran, and we collected 1.5 million tweets, and we did the analysis. But the code took a couple of people a couple of weeks to write. When GPT 3.5 was first released last year, I wrote a half-page narrative summary of what the architecture for this code should be.
Yeah.
And GPT wrote it in Python with 2 mistakes. And I literally took one was a type error, and the first one I literally cut and pasted the error out of PyCharm, and I put it into back into GPT. And I went, oi. And he went, oh, terribly sorry about that. I thought you were using this library, not that library. Here is the corrected version of the code. Mind completely blown at that point. And I and many people I know, and many PhD students, are now using this. We've probably got hardcore developers screaming at us from the background going, don't use it for code. And whether you can use it or should use it in production or what its security is like, I am not qualified to say. But if you want Python functions, give me a Python function, or give me an R function, or give me a C++ function that does this. It is incredibly powerful. It has supercharged the rate at which I'm able to generate stuff. So to move back to what's sitting in the corner of the Tetris was, I was literally looking at them and I went, oh yeah, Tetris would fit beautifully on that. But as Les says, it's not really a matrix. It's a whole string of 500 LEDs that each have a number from 0 to 495.
Yeah.
The hell am I going to build Tetris on that? And when you start to think about it, it suddenly becomes apparent that Tetris is a really, really, really complicated game. Not just in terms of the mathematics behind it, but in terms of the coding required, because you have to do collision detection for the pieces, you have to do rotation for the pieces, you have to do animation for the pieces, etc., etc., etc. And all of this not on a screen, but on a matrix of LEDs. So I thought, fair, okay. So effectively, I built an array, like in Python, that's literally just a list of numbers that effectively tells it that the first LED is in the bottom right-hand corner, and the last LED, because it's closest to the plug, genuinely, is in the bottom right-hand corner, and the last LED is in the top left-hand corner, and the LEDs are chained together like this. And I took it iteratively, and I said, okay, GPT, we're going to build a Tetris game. And I said, here is the board that we're going to build it on. I want you to generate the standard Tetris pieces. So come up with a function to generate the Tetris pieces. And for now, just generate a function to animate those pieces, dropping from the top to the bottom of the board. And that's it for now. And that was the first stage.
Wow.
And the first response I got was, fantastic. I can see that your LEDs are arranged in a zigzag pattern. We're going to have to make adjustments to your X and Y coordinates when placing the pieces to account for that. And at that point I went, this is a guy on the end of my computer sitting somewhere else in the world, looking up Tetris really fast and then typing the answers really quickly, because it was convincing a response.
That is awesome.
It built the original 4 functions, which was to generate the shapes with the correct colors, place them on the board, and animate them dropping from the top of the bottom to the board. I then told it to add controls for left and right and rotating the pieces and speed up when you drop it, and literally flawlessly. I want a function to do this. There it is. Next. Brilliant. That works. Give me a function to do this. Sometimes it would get confused. And I've also found the more you give it, the responses tend to wander off. And particularly if you give it a short block of code and say, change this code to do this. One of the things I use this for in anger regularly is, in my day job, I use Python and matplotlib for generating graphs from big data sets. So if you don't know, matplotlib is an incredibly powerful plotting, charting, graphing library for Python that, in my humble opinion, is so complicated and so overly difficult to use. It's mind-blowingly, and let's have people shouting at me in the comments, I'm sure, for that one as well. But to be honest, hi GPT, I need a graph that looks like this. The data will be given to you in this format. Make the graph look like this. Put these labels on the x-axis. Do a nice regression plot through here that shows the curve, etc. And it will do it flawlessly every time.
That is awesome. I mean, Was it just one prompt, or was it a series of prompts into like a chat as such?
It's an iterative development process. It is, as I say, first off, we got it to do the generate the pieces and animate the pieces, and then the second run through. And the thing is, because if it's in the one chain, it remembers what it's talked to you about before, which is super clever. Because you can go, oh, that bit, then can you change that bit? And you go, oh yeah, sure. There you go.
How much manual cleanup do you have to do on the code that it generates?
Very little. If it works, almost none. If it works, almost none. And you get, as I say, the bit where it told me that it was in a zigzag pattern was absolute. That one in particular blew my mind completely.
That is awesome. Is it just the code that's been generated using AI, or has anything else been generated in the game?
Well, yeah, funnily enough, all of the graphics you saw at the top, the Mega Tetris logo, that was actually generated by AI. One of the things you'll find if you ask it to draw, if you ask any of these DALL-E or Midjourney or anything, if you ask it to draw a picture, it's lovely. Ask it to draw a picture with words in, and you can get some hysterically not suitable for work results because it doesn't know words, so it kind of it looks like it's trying to find pictures where those words had existed, but it's terrible at putting words. So I must have tried 20 different varieties, and then finally I got something that looked like Mega Tetris with the R and the T kind of squashed together a bit. But
it fooled me when I first saw it.
Yeah, so I mean, but it's funny. But one of the other ones you saw at the start, and this absolutely blew me away again. If you saw at the start, the animation just when it's not doing anything. This is one thing that I just thought, I'll put some whizzy animations on. The game was perfectly complete. And the two bits. The high score table was, it wasn't much more than this that I gave it. It was sort of like, dude, we're really into this now. Now, remember on the old school arcade machines, you had to do those three initials and up and down for the three initials and build me one of those. And he goes, sure, okay. And genuinely the prompt was a little more in depth than that. I said, basically, give me a function that displays 3 boxes on the screen with the letters A, and A in it. When I do this with the keyboard, change the letter. When I press the enter key, move to the next letter. When you get to the end and all 3 boxes are complete, return those 3 initials as a variable. Done.
That is scary.
And the only thing it got wrong was the position of the box on the screen because it didn't know the screen layout. Fair enough.
That is brilliant.
That is slick, yeah.
High scores on arcade machines. Yeah, I've been there. About 2 months ago, I went to Arcade Club in Blackpool, where I live, and I was entering my name very low down in the high score table. It was still there. Admittedly, the machine's only been on for an hour. And it's just that feeling you get. It's the 2 things an arcade machine has are the attract and the high score table. The attract is there to make you part with your money, and the high score table is there to keep you there and keep putting money in that machine to play. So you've got them in your game, David.
Defend your title.
Fantastic piece of original engineering. And to come back to your original question about the AI bit was again. Rather than I would just sit there, I thought, we'll do a whizzy animation. And so basically, brilliant. Okay, so you've got the shapes, and you can see the shapes just kind of fill up randomly on the board until it can't fill it out anymore. And one of the last conversations, I said, the game is finished. It's absolutely brilliant. And it says, really, thanks you. He says, thank you very much. That's amazing. I'm really glad. Have fun with your Mega Tetris game. It even knows what it's called now. And so at the end of it, I said, let's do an animation. Can you show me like just the board filling up like that? Cool. And it went, you might want to look into this. That's actually called an NP hard problem. Is one of the most difficult types of problems in computing. It's probably a little bit beyond the ambitions of your Wii game. And that was the only bit where it told me, no, I'm not going to do that for you. It's like, because, and it genuinely is. There are games that are NP complete and NP hard and not NP, which are deeply, deeply mathematically complex problems. And filling a Tetris board with the shapes, even when you know the shapes which are coming, actually playing Tetris optimally optimally is actually beyond the level of any current algorithm. And there are arguments to suggest that it will always be beyond the level of any algorithm.
Wow.
Did
So
not
you'd
know
have to
that.
like pre-program one set animation and maybe a couple of them to rotate to make it look.
And here we have
Yeah.
a fully completed one where you can now animate. I have not yet added this. This, as you can imagine, took a fair while, particularly when you get down to this corner here and you're desperately trying to fit the last pieces in as ever they could. But now my intention, yes, is to animate that into a full screen thing.
That's cool.
That was amazing.
That's also really interesting.
Yeah. David, before the show, we talked about in-person Raspberry Pi events. They're slowly coming back now after the pandemic. You're going to be showing Mega Tetris off, aren't you, at Cambridge Raspberry Jam?
Correct. This weekend at the Roger Needham building at Cambridge University. Should be a fantastic event. The Cambridge ones are usually particularly well attended. There's some brilliant workshops going on. There's a couple of keynote speakers as well, including Eben will be there. I would imagine talking about Pi 5.
Maybe, yeah.
Amongst other things, yes. Yeah, from 10, I think, from 10:30, 10 o'clock, I think, at
problem.
And get your tickets from camjam.me, just to get the plug in there for the guys.
No problem. There's a link in the comment section for everyone if you want to go and click on that and get your ticket if you're in the area. I've been to it before and it is great fun. It's the best Raspberry Jam you're going to get down south in the UK.
I was waiting for that.
In the north, it has to be sort of Manchester, Preston, Blackpool area, but I'm just we'll leave it there. No, it is a good event. I've been to quite a few of them, and the knowledge that's on offer there free of charge is fantastic. People just share all the information they've got about how they've built stuff, and it's awesome to see. It really is. But we were talking about Pi 5 very briefly as a joke about Eben there. Have you got one yet, Doctor?
I do not. No, I do not. It's one thing I haven't got around to yet.
Are you going to pick one up? Because they are quite powerful.
They are as well. I mean, the thing of the 8 gig one, it's like, and seeing what people are doing with them already. I mean, I'm presuming there will be a marketplace on Saturday, and hopefully if I'm in the door early enough, and I get paid on Friday.
That's handy. Ah, well.
Getting paid on Black Friday is probably not the best.
It's probably not the best for your wallet, no. But, there are a lot of deals on Black Friday, and that is a fantastic segue, Dave. Cheers. Into talking about that very briefly. So, yes, it is Black Friday season. So this Friday is going to be deals everywhere, but there are a few trickling out just now. And I've been looking today and seeing what I fancy, and there's something that caught my eye. So I'm going to switch to my overhead camera so you can see what I'm talking about. And we have, don't worry about this just yet, we're over here. This little soldering iron, it's a Miniwave TS101. You're thinking, that's not Raspberry Pi. Why do I need to know about that? Well, let's put it in solo so you can see it a bit better. You're going to need to learn soldering one day when you're doing electronics. And this is a great little iron. $61 at the minute with a power supply. Interchangeable tips, same tips as the Pine Sol, which is why I've got my props here, Pine Sol. And also the TS100, the older version. So why should you buy this one rather than that one? Well, USB-C power and DC barrel jack power. And it's a smart soldering iron. So you can program it with profiles for certain temperatures. So if you want it to go to 450C, press the button, it'll go to that. And it heats up in about 15 seconds. If that's a bit too quick for you, change the profile. If it's a bit too hot, change the profile. It's all just a text file, which when you plug in this soldering iron to your computer, yes, it is a weird thing to say, but you can plug it in. You can program the soldering iron to do whatever temperature ranges you want. So you could have a certain one for SMD soldering, for lead-free solder, for lead solder, that sort of thing. Just go click, click, bang, and away it goes. My only gripe about this, it has, let's get it so it's, you see it properly? It's got a flathead screw, not a crosshead, which isn't easy for an old man like me. You're like, where is it? Where is it? Whereas a crosshead, put it straight in, and away you go. But $61 for that iron. You can also get it in the UK for about £55, if memory serves, on Amazon. So, good little soldering iron. So what I'll do now, is I'll just chuck that into the chat. So if you want to pick one up, there's a link. It'll take you straight to it. You can get one nice and cheap. You're going to save about $20 if memory serves, which is a good bit of money. The other stuff on here is not Black Friday related, but let's do a very, very, very quick thing. Pi 5. There's all new cases out. So you've got the official case here, which is a Raspberry Pi 5 official case, and I've got a Pi 5 in there. Don't know which one it is because I've covered up the resistors. So I've got coolers on it, so I don't know unless I plug it in or put a sticker on to say which one it is. Good case, but these came today from EDA Tech. They weigh a ton. Seriously. So they're all aluminium cases. So this one's like a sandwich that goes between the Pi. So it even cools on the base as well. It covers the SoC, the RP1, and the PMIC chip. So the PMIC's down here, RP1 is there, and the SoC is there. So in case you don't know, the SoC system on chip is an ARM processor. The RP1 is the new Southbridge chip that handles all the USB and GPIO stuff. And the PMIC is your power management chip. That keeps it cool. Not done any thermal testing yet, so I won't say how good it is. But then we have this one. This is a slab of aluminium. Look at that. I've not even got any scales out to weigh it, but what I can say is comfortably, it is heavy. It's a lot heavier than that. But same company, EDA Tech, and it has all the ports broken out so I can get access to cameras. The PoE hat is there as well. Even got a power button on the side here because the Pi's got a power button now. So I'm going to be testing that soon. And finally, this came, the hot rod of Pi cooling. The ice tower cooler. It looks like the air intake on a Chevy from the 50s. It's stupidly large. And I've got one of these for a Pi 4, and it cools it really well. I'm going to be testing this pretty soon. But I've noticed, though, it doesn't touch the PMIC or the RP1 chip. It's only for the SoC. And I know that the PMIC gets very hot. So this will be interesting to see. But anyway, that's enough about that. Let's go back to my face so you can see my face. There you go, if you want to. Right. So, Ash, have you got anything to talk about?
I do. I have something kind of cool. Well, I think it's kind of cool. So let's say the holidays are coming up soon, right? Like I changed the blanket behind me. Yeah. Holidays. So if you've got a maker in your life that likes Raspberry Pi, you probably want to get them a Pi 5 like Les was showing up. And so I thought I'd show you what you need to get them a Pi 5, because it's not, you can't just get them a Pi 5. Les was showing off those cases for a reason. They do run hot. So I got this in the mail, this box from Pi Shop US, and we don't really do unboxing stuff, but we're going to do it right now because let's see what I ordered and what you need to get for the maker in your life for Christmas or holidays, whatever. First off, you're going to need a Pi 5.
Awesome.
They have very specific power requirements. I don't think you can just use the adapter from the Pi 4, right?
You can, but when you start connecting stuff like the M.2 hat for SSDs, you'll start seeing the edge of what you can do with it.
This one specifically is for the Pi 5. This is the one from the Pi Foundation. Well, I don't think they call it that anymore. It's just Raspberry Pi. But limited. Yeah, so you need a power adapter. It's supposed to come with a fan. My fan didn't come in here. That was the whole point of me talking about this. I was going to say, and you need a fan to keep it cool. But anyway, here's the official case, which Les just showed off a second ago. But if you really want to keep it cool, definitely look at the cases that he's showing off. I'm curious how they do performance-wise, especially the one that was like a thick slab.
Yeah, let's get this in the right layout. Let's press the right buttons. There we go. You can get the active cooler, which I'm guessing you were after, Ash. Let's do the YouTuber trick.
I ordered that.
No.
I guess so.
If not, though, you do get a fan in the official case.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking of. Okay, then.
There you go.
Yeah, here we go. Opened it up. There it is.
And there is a heatsink in the little white envelope that comes with it. And I'll give you a word of warning. The glue on that heatsink is good.
It's good.
I had to heat.
Be careful, huh?
Yeah, I had to get the hot air rework station, my soldering iron set up, to heat the heatsink to take it off so I could put one of these coolers on to test it.
pies with power switches and now with fans. Things are moving on.
Come on, David. Pies have always had fans. It's old men like us
So
too.
it's coming officially with a fan now, and it's necessary. You need to have a fan on this one. That's what's, I don't know. I think that's what's noticeable about the change here to the Pi 5.
I mean, the Pi 5 CPU is ARM Cortex. I can't remember, A72. I'll be correcting someone will say you're wrong there, Les. But it's 2.4 gig speed wise, and it's quad core. So that's a lot of power in a small package.
That's a lot of juice, yeah.
And if you take it and just try and do a stress test with no cooling on it whatsoever, it will hit thermal throttle. I know this for a fact. I've done it.
Yeah.
So you've got to put it on, put some cooling on. So passive stuff like this, you need a good bit of thermal mass to pull the heat out. And this has got mass. So I'm going to get the kitchen scales and weigh it for the review. Or you need active cooling. Now, the official active cooler is really good. That's one I took off for doing the test. That's really good. And it's also whisper quiet, because in the past, fans that connected to your Raspberry Pi sounded like angry bees in a can. Yeah.
Smell of fresh pie.
Oh, there we go. Alex in the chat is just saying that Pi 5 UK PSUs are hard to get hold of at the moment. They are proving popular because they can chuck out some power. They really can, because they're USB-C PD. I'll just get mine out the drawer here.
I almost bought the UK one on accident, so that's interesting that they're hard to get a hold of now. This was ordered back the day that the Pi was released. Or Pi 5, I mean.
It does 27 watts at max. So it's 12 volts at 2.25 amp is 27 watts. Or it can do 15 volts at 1.8 amp. So that's better than my Steam Deck power supply. So you know what I'm going to be taking a hold of. I need to charge something. This. It'll even charge my laptop, which is a scary prospect. There we go. Oh, Kev's here. Hi, Kev. He says that he also likes the smell of fresh Raspberry Pis.
Mm.
Right, well, I think that's all for this week. I'm afraid we'll have to cut it off now. Otherwise, it's going to get too late and we'll all turn into pumpkins. I'd like to thank Dave for coming on the show. Doctor, it's been a pleasure having you on and learning about your project.
Thanks very much, folks. Great to be here as ever.
I'll just put your Twitter handle again so people can follow you and learn more about your project. You've also got a video of the project running on there as well from YouTube. I saw that earlier on today. We will be back next week at the same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. in the UK. Your host that week will be Avram, because I'm off next week. I'm away. I'm going to the theatre. So I will see you all the week after. Thanks very much. See you later.
Fantastic. Thanks again, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Set up.